Walt Disney World changed the rules for park reservations and park hopping. For many guests, things are so much easier now, but a lot of us are confused and overwhelmed because the same rules do not apply to everyone. I've looked over a bunch of scenarios, whether you're at the theme parks for a once-in-a-lifetime trip, once a year, annual pass holders, or you're a student or you're with a convention. It's complicated, but I'm gonna break it all down for you. This is your complete guide to park reservations and park hopping at Walt Disney World in 2024. Hey guys, it's Nelly. Let's start off with park reservations. Do we still need them in 2024? Some of us do, some don't. Let's talk about who does not need to make park reservations now. You can find that on the Walt Disney World website by clicking on the My Disney Experience tab on the upper right-hand side. Click on Theme Park Reservations, then scroll down a bit to the part that says Tickets that require a theme park reservation. Click on Read More. It says date-based ticket holders do not need to make theme park reservations. That applies if you have a one-day ticket, a multi-day ticket, or a vacation package that includes date-based tickets. So if you bought your tickets at the Walt Disney World website, you probably saw this calendar. You had to choose the day your ticket would start and it would automatically tell you your use window. That is a date-based ticket. You can only use that ticket within that use window. If you bought your tickets through a travel agent, you may have date-based tickets as well. I would call them to double check. So if you know that you have a date-based ticket, you don't need to make park reservations anymore. Let's talk about why this is amazing. Before this past week, you couldn't just wake up and say, I had a park reservation set for Magic Kingdom today, but I just don't feel like going to Magic Kingdom. I want to walk around World Showcase at Epcot instead. You ran the risk of them not having park reservations available for Epcot on that day, and then you were stuck. That could make you feel like you're being forced into something, and that's the last thing you want to feel on a vacation. So let's talk about who still needs to deal with these issues, who still needs to make park reservations at Walt Disney World in 2024. That's going to include student group tickets. And that makes sense because most school field trips are planned far in advance and the schedules are rigid so you can keep track of the students. The same thing applies for sport and convention tickets. Here's the big one though, Florida residents who bought discounted tickets. Right now that's called the Florida Resident Disney Thrills ticket and it gives you 2 days for $199 plus tax or 3 days for $219 plus tax. And these are valid from January 11 through March 15, 2024. If you buy these tickets, you also need to make theme park reservations. Same thing applies for any military discounted tickets and any other types of tickets not otherwise mentioned. So if your ticket still requires a park reservation and you haven't done so already, let's get back over to the Walt Disney World website. Click on the My Disney Experience tab on the upper right-hand side, click on Theme Park Reservations, and head on down to Park Ticket Availability. Click on Theme Park Tickets if you're not staying at a Walt Disney World hotel for the day you're making the reservation. If you are staying on property, choose the Select Resort Hotels button. Below these, you'll see the reservation calendar. If the date is green, that means all parks have reservations available. If the date is yellow, it means at least one park is sold out, and you'll see which one that is listed below the calendar. And if the date is grayed out, that means there are no more reservations available at any of the parks that day. Annual pass holders also still need to make reservations in some cases. There are a few less restrictions, but some confusion. For example, if you plan to go to any park after 2 p.m., you don't need to make a park reservation. There is an exception to that. If your intended park is Magic Kingdom and it's a Saturday or Sunday, you'll need a park reservation even if it's after 2 p.m. And Walt Disney World has implemented new Good to Go days, which means that on those days, you don't need to make a park reservation at all. Let's check this out. On the same page we're on, click on the Annual Passes button, and that takes you to a different page that shows you the reservation calendar for annual pass holders. The new thing on this page are these green circles on some of the dates. That's how Disney is marking the new Good to Go days. So just choose your pass type above the calendar, and if the day you want is circled green, you are good to go to the parks that day without making a park reservation. If it's not circled green, you need to make a park reservation. And they didn't color code this as nicely as the other non-pass holder park reservation page. Here, if you see a backslash, you are blocked out and can't use your pass at all that day. Fun fact, the next symbol is called a prohibition sign, and you'll see that if there are no park reservations available that day at all. Then a full green dot means reservations are available for all parks that day. And a half green dot with a green circle around it means only some parks have reservation availability. And that last one on the right is the good to go day symbol I mentioned. If you find this video helpful, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. It helps me help you stay informed with all things Disney. Let's move on to the new park hopping rules. Ever since the parks reopened during the pandemic, Walt Disney World would not let you go from park to park before 2 p.m. As of this past week, all-day park hopping is back for most guests. So you can have breakfast at Magic Kingdom, lunch at Animal Kingdom, a snack at Epcot, and dinner at Hollywood Studios if you really wanted to. Once again, guests with date-based tickets come out on top here. If you have one of these tickets and bought the park hopper option, you can go from park to park at whatever time you want. But if you have any type of ticket that required you to make a park reservation, including annual pass holders, you have an important restriction. Before you park hop, you must first scan in at the park you made the reservation for originally. After that, you can go to whichever park you want, unless you're an annual pass holder wanting to go into Magic Kingdom on a Saturday or Sunday. If you don't have a park reservation for that park on that day, you'll have to wait until 2 p.m. to park hop into Magic Kingdom. Also for annual pass holders, if it's a good to go day, you can go to any park and park hop at whichever time you want. Thinking of that list of the people that don't need to make park reservations anymore this year, one thing stuck out at me. Those people probably paid full price for their tickets. Florida residents, military, student groups, sports groups, conventions, they all get discounted tickets. And let's do some annual pass holder math here. If you go to the parks more times than your break-even point, you're also getting discounted tickets essentially. Take it as you will. I'm sure some people in the comments are gonna say, hey, I paid full price for my ticket, I should be getting more benefits. And others might think that Disney's just trying to penalize people that buy discounted tickets and annual pass holders. At the end of the day, Walt Disney World is a business trying to plan out logistics and operations. They need to know, how many cast members do I need at Magic Kingdom in 3 weeks? When can I plan to shut down big attractions for maintenance, etc.? They make these decisions by estimating the amount of guests that will be there. And even though date-based ticket guests don't need to make reservations, Disney does know to expect them at any of the parks within a certain time frame. Their park tickets are only valid within those days, so Disney is still controlling the situation. For student groups, sports groups, conventions, reservations are kind of baked into things already because you have a set schedule for your event, so requiring official park reservations from event coordinators isn't so bad. As for annual pass holders, Florida residents that buy discounted tickets, military discounted tickets, other things like that, I think that Disney is afraid of us because we're more off the cuff. We'll fit in a Disney trip whenever it's convenient for us, not them. And especially in the case of annual pass holders, we're doing this multiple times a year. And each year can be very different depending on what we have going on in our lives. Some may go more often because they have the free time, others might go less because of their work or school schedule. There are way more variables, and therefore it's harder to predict our behavior. The last thing they want is to have a huge influx of pass holders at one park they weren't expecting. But was this ever a problem? I've been a pass holder many years, and I never felt that this was actually a problem where I've seen a huge influx of annual pass holders going to a particular park. Not even right before the pandemic, right before these rules were set into place. Think of annual pass holders and other guests without date-based tickets as walk-ins. If you're a walk-in, you know you're gonna wait more because the people with appointments have first priority. That being said, there are tons of businesses that operate as first come, first served, and they do great. Let me know what you think about all this. I'd really like to have some conversations with you guys. Please remember to like this video and subscribe. It really means a lot. Hope you have a wonderful time at Walt Disney World, no matter what kind of ticket you have, and see you next time here on Park News Magic.